So you've downloaded our Divi 5 design system, or you've just purchased it and you want to get up and running super fast. Well, this is a quick startup guide. So the first thing you want to do after downloading, you're going to get a file that looks like this. It's a zip file. It's important that you unzip this, because if you don't, the installation process won't work. Now, after you unzip it, you're going to get a file called .json, okay? Krafter and the version number .json. So what you want to do now is to use that file, the .json file, to install it. Now, installing it is done this way. You want to come over here to Divi and go to the Divi library. Okay, it's important that we go to the library. If you don't go to the library, this installation won't work. The next step is to click here on import and export. And then you want to come over here to import and then locate the file on your computer by clicking on choose file. Right, so now you see we're in our downloads folder, and again we have our .json file. So you want to click on open, and then, and this is very, very important, make sure you click on import presets, because this design system is based on presets. So you want to make sure that you click on presets and then you click on import builder layouts. Now, once you do that, it only takes a couple of seconds and then you're going to get it installed right here like that. So the next step now is to test and see if everything has installed. And to do that, we can create a brand new page. So I'm going to open up a page in a new tab here, and I'm going to call this test. Use Divi Builder, and I'm going to start here by adding a single column, and in this column I'm going to add a text module. Okay, so now with my text module, I just want to check if everything is really there. I'm going to select it, come over here to the design, and then on the text I'm going to assign my preset, and I can see all my presets are here now. If I need to set this up as small, I can just click on that and you can see it automatically takes on the characteristics of that preset. Now, another way that you could do this is by perhaps maybe going in and importing all the presets on this page so you can see all of them. And you can do this by coming over here to this plus button. You click on Save Layout, and here it is. It's in our library. You click on it and then you say use this layout. So this now is going to import our layout onto our page. At this stage you can hit publish, or you can even save it. It's pretty much up to you. So when I scroll down here, you can see I have my headers, I have my text. This is my normal body text, this is my small text, this is large text. When I scroll further down here, we also have our custom headings as well. We have our buttons, and we have our colors. You know, as I scroll through here, you can see there's a lot that I can, you know, take a quick look at. I have my radius. I also have my presets for my images. I also have my presets for my content rows. And I also have my section paddings. All right, so at this stage, we're pretty much ready to use our design system. So chances are you are going to need to add your own colors to the design system. So what you want to do is to use a tool that will help you choose your colors correctly. I use Coolers. So I'm going to come over here and start the generator. Okay, so with the generator started now, I'm just going to pick, you know, some colors here. Let me go with this one here, this sapphire blue. Okay, and I'm going to lock it and then choose another color that is going to go with this one. So let's see, we're going to quickly, okay, let's go with this one here. Okay, so these are going to be my two colors. So the next step now is to just copy the hexadecimal values. So I'm going to start with this one here. You'd go back to your site. So it's the tests page. And then you want to come over here to your variable manager. You click on that. Since we are adjusting our colors, you're going to come over here to colors. And then we're going to expand this. So my primary color here, I'm going to paste it. Now I want you to take a look at all these values here, the primary 100, 200, 300, and so on. You're going to notice that if I do that and enter, all my colors have updated. Okay, I know you can't see it clearly, but my background color here has changed, and I scroll down here, my buttons have changed. In fact, let's see if I can move this out of the way. You see that my buttons have changed. All right, and when I scroll further down, you know, my shades also changed according to my main primary color. Okay, let's go ahead and add my second color, which is this one. I'm going to copy it, and then back I'm going to go to my secondary color and paste it. So now my colors have been updated. You can see that over here. It's fantastic. I'm going to hit save and apply changes. The next area that you need to go in and change right away is your fonts. So I'm going to come over here. So right now we're set to Poppins. Okay, so let's say the font you want to use is called Inter. I'm going to search for it, and I'm going to set this for my main headings, and then for my body I'm going to set this to Poppins. Now I've just switched them over so you can see that there is a difference. So I'm going to save that, apply. Okay, so now that it's applied and saved, you can see here it has been updated. I'm now going to save this. So pretty much my colors across the whole website have been updated. My fonts across the whole website have also been updated. So now we're at a very good starting point. This is where you can start designing your site. So we are now going to exit from here. So now I'm going to add a brand new page. So I'm going to call this main, and then use the Divi builder. So what I'm going to do now is just to go through the process of how you would use all these elements on this page, Yes, I'm going to come over here and add equal columns. And in this column, I'm going to add a heading. So I'm going to select it. I'm going to go in here and paste the text. Oops. Let me just go in here and copy my heading text. And then I'm just going to paste it in here. Okay, excellent. So what I'm going to do next is to stylize it. So I'm going to come over here to design, and then for my heading text, set this to heading 1. And I also want this centered, so I'm going to go in and center it. So with this now, I need to choose the right row, and this is very important in design. So I'm going to select my row, and then over here on the top, I'm going to choose my text row. Okay, now sometimes you may want to use a wider text row. It's pretty much up to you. Okay, so I've got my text row now. Maybe the next design element I want to add to this is perhaps, let's say, some text. Okay, so depending on how big it's going to be, you might as well maybe even add it in here. So I'm going to search for my text like that. So now I have my text in here. I'm going to go to Lorem and choose a bit of text. Next, I want to center it. So now as a designer, you need to decide whether you're going to use this narrowed body text or you want to use a slightly bigger one. So for this, I'm going to go in and say wide text row. Okay, so this one here looks much better, and as you can see here, it's got a bit more breathing space. All right, so I'm going to select my heading here and make it bolder. So I'm going to come over here. Now I'm not going to change my preset here. I'm just going to change this from semi-bold to bold. Okay, I may even want it, much bolder. Okay, I think that looks great. So the next step now is to decide what you're going to add in here. Perhaps you're going to add some call to action buttons. So to do that, and they can work really well in this actual design, I'm going to click on this plus button and group. So in this group now, we're going to have 2 buttons. So I'm going to choose my first button like that. And then I'm going to go in and choose the preset. So I'm going to click in here, come over here to the top and click on this drop down, and you can see we have all our buttons, specified. All right, so I've got my default button here. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this. And then I'm going to go into my group settings, design, layout, and then make sure that this is set to row. And then all I need to do now is to center it. Okay, so now you can see our design is starting to take shape. The next thing I may want to do here is to add an image, but I can't add the image inside this wide text row. No, it needs to be in its own. So I'm going to go ahead and add another row, and this time I'm going to add an image. And sometimes this could be even a video, okay? It doesn't really matter. So now I'm going to go in, choose my image, upload image, Right. We're not done yet because we need to specify what we're doing here. So I'm going to select my row settings again. And then over here on the top, I'm going to say content row. Okay. So now my design is balanced, but we're not done yet because I need to make sure that my sections have the right padding. So I'm going to select my sections here. And then over here on the top, I'm going to make sure that this is set to medium. So you can see now there's a bit of breathing space. But if you want the space even bigger, you can just go in and choose large. And I think large works better here. Okay. Now for our buttons, we can go in and choose outline. So let's go ahead and choose primary outline. Okay, so now we have our primary outline, or if you want to add a secondary one, that's up to you as well. Okay, so now we have our secondary button. I'm going to go ahead now and hit publish. Next, we're going to do a quick preview. So now we can see that our layout has, pretty much worked. But we're not done yet because I want to show you that this is also responsive. So now I'm going to drag this on the side and notice what's happening here on the sides. The text is getting smaller and smaller. It's all responsive. Look at that. Look at the button sizes. So on a mobile device, everything is looking brilliant. You see that? So everything is fluid, it's responsive, and it's not even touching the edges here. Everything is very precise and it's a very, very clean layout. So you may say, but Mac, you know what? I want to use the pre-made layouts from Elegant Themes. Well, that's okay too, because all you have to do is to delete what we have here, click on this plus button, and this time instead of going to my saved layout, I'm going to go to pre-made layout. And this is where I get to choose what layout I need to go in and work on. So let's say I want to go and use this one here. Let's go with this homepage here. And then say use this layout. Now I'm just going to do a quick demo. Oops, you see that it says import presets? You definitely want to uncheck that and then click on import, because if you check that, you're going to have problems. You're going to have so many presets all up in your system, and it's going to be very annoying to get rid of them. So now we're at 50%. So far so good. We now need to go in and make a lot of changes because this is not ready to be facing the world. The reason why I'm saying that is because if you go into this text, it is not fluid, it's not responsive, it will not pass the accessibility test. Definitely. Why? Because this is set to pixels, and I'll show you how. If I select this text here, I'm going to go to design, heading text, and I can see here it's H1. Notice that the heading text size here, it's set to 72 pixels. You don't want to do that in design. It's a no-no, right? And now notice what happens when I go into my responsive values here. You notice that, in fact, it's not showing here. Okay, no problem. I'm going to come over here to the top. You notice that it's now set to 40 and then 24. That is not how you want to design. This is going to be disastrous. So we now need to turn this into a design that is fluid, that is responsive, and so on. And that also follows our design system. So to convert this, you want to make sure that you click here on Inspector, because all these values need to go. So I'm going to start with the heading. So making sure this is selected, I'm going to come over here to numbers, and you can see your margin bottom, line height, your text sizes. All you need to do is to go in and reset all this. Okay. So once it's all reset, you go in and then you want to make sure that you choose our preset, which is heading 1. Now you can see it's set to bold. So for this font, I don't think that works. So we're going to go with medium. Okay. We move on to the next item, which is this text here. And again, for this text, you want to go ahead and remove pretty much all this. Okay. And then you want to choose your heading 4 preset. So our heading 4 preset, you can see here, is based on clamp. This is a totally different design workflow. Next, you want to come over here, and again, you want to get rid of all of this, right? Get rid of all of that. Okay, now once you're done, you'd come over here, you go to your texts, set this to body text. And I can see here there is still some numbers set. Okay, now you see it's gone. Okay, so we remove everything until we are pretty much just right. All right, so as we're doing this, you're also going to notice that your rows are not the proper sizes. So in our case here, I can see everything that's wrong with this row. But anyway, let me just show you. If I go in and click here on the top, let me see if this is going to work. Content row. Yes, now it is a content row, which is fantastic. But we have a problem because it's set to block, and it's not supposed to be set to block. It needs to be either flex or grid. You see that? Now with this, I can go in and zero out all the spacing, and then I can go in and specify my fluid spacing, which is exactly what we need. So I'm going to come back over here, go to elements, and then I'm going to start with my column here. So I've got gap 0, right? So I can say, okay, I need gap small, or if that's a bit too much, I can say gap large. Okay, so now I'm being intentional with all my settings. Next, I'm going to come over here and go to the second column. And in the second column, I'm going to say, you know what? I want everything to zero out, okay? So now we have no spaces. And this is where you can go individually now and say, right, for this, I want my margin top to be, let's say, medium, okay? And over here, I want it small. And all this is responsive, and I'm being very, very intentional. And then over here we need a bit more space because that's not relating content, so I'm going to say margin top large. Okay, so now we have the author here all the way to the top, and when we have this information, and then over here on the button I can also go in and go to spacing and set my button size. So I'm going to say margin top medium. Okay, so you can see now that my layout is slightly different to what we had before. And if I save this now and get rid of this, you'll notice that now my row is the right size. And as you can see, these two are side by side. We need to fix that. So we would go in now and make sure that in our content, because remember, we changed this from block to, was it block to flex? Okay, so if it's block to flex, I'm going to go in here, design and layout. Okay, so we want that when it's over here, we change this, and now we have the main title on the top and the content on the bottom. You see how easy that is? I mean, this is if you want to change this, you can just reverse this, and now is the text that's on the top and then the book on the bottom. So it's pretty much up to you how you want to have that, okay, for that screen. Okay, so back over here, if you want to rebrand this, you can go in and add your colors. Remember, we have our own color system. I'm going to come in here, go to my background. Oops, you open up the background. I'm going to get rid of that, and then I'm going to go in and add my own color. So I'm going to go with, okay, that's a bit too much. Okay, let's go with a very light gray. That's similar to what we had. All right, let's go with that. Okay, and I also need to add some padding to this. So I'm going to go in section, and I'm going to say medium. Maybe I need a bit more padding. Let's go large. Okay, so now I've set this to large, and everything is now very, very intentional, and this will pass the accessibility test for sure, 100%. So this is what you need to do if you want to use Krafter for pre-made designs. But I'll highly recommend that you do this from scratch, because that way there isn't a lot of undoing things and, you know, all that craziness. But anyway, I'll be doing a lot more tutorials. I have here a course called the Divi 5 Mastery Course. This course teaches you everything you need to know about Divi. So it saves you a lot of time going on to YouTube, trying to go through all these tutorials on how Divi 5 works. Everything is going to be added onto the Divi 5 Mastery Course. And also Krafter, which is our design system. I'm adding some lessons actually today, so that it'll be very, very easy for you to get up and running super fast with Krafter. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you again in the next one. Take care.